Now we discussed about the relationship between entrepreneurship and creativity and what are the factors that impedes creativity in organization. Now we are going to look into the various techniques adopted by corporates for generating ideas. The first step is technique is brainstorming. This process involves engendering a huge number of solutions for a specific problem, which emphasize being on number of ideas. In the course of the brainstorming, there is no assessment of ideas, so people can speak out their ideas freely without the fear of criticism. Even bizarre, strange ideas are accepted with open hands. In fact, the crazier the idea, the better. Taming down is easier than thinking up. So the main focus of brainstorming is the quantity of ideas. It is not the quality. Any idea is accepted. So to make a brainstorming success, then what you have to focus is that you have to encourage, you have to create an environment of trust. You should never judge an idea. Any idea should be considered as a good idea. The weirder the idea, the better it is. And the focus should be on the quantity. Maximum number of ideas should be accepted from the group. The next technique is Scamper. Scamper is an idea generation technique that utilizes action verbs as stimuli. It is a well-known kind of checklist developed by Bob Ebery that assists the person in coming up with ideas either for modification that can be made on an existing product or making a new product. So you are given a product or idea and you have to come up with action verbs as stimuli. By this you will be able to improve on existing products or you will be able to come up with new products. So Scamper is an acronym with each letter standing for an action verb, which in turn stands for a prompt for creative idea. So S for substitute, C for combine, A for adapt, M for modify, P for put to another use, E for eliminate, and R for reverse. So that is about Scamper. Mind mapping is yet another tool used for idea generation. Mind mapping is a graphical technique for imaging connections between various pieces of information or idea. Each fact or idea is written down and then connected by curves or lines to its major or minor facts or ideas, thus building a web of relationship. So you write a central idea in the middle and you write all the concepts relating to this central idea and map it accordingly so that you will get a web of relationship. It was Tony Buzan, a UK's researcher, who developed the technique mind mapping discussed in his book Use Your Head in 1972. Mind mapping is utilized in brainstorming, project planning, problem solving, and note taking. As in the case with other mapping methods, the intention behind brain mapping too is to capture attention and to gain and frame information to enable sharing of concepts and ideas. So, similar to brainstorming, in mind mapping also, you put all the ideas that comes on the way. You are not judging the ideas. And the difference is that you will map the ideas and you will create a web of relationship from that. Next is synectics. Synectics is a creative idea generation and problem solving technique that arouses thought process that the subject may not be aware of. It is a manner of approaching problem solving and creativity in a rational manner. The credit for coming up with this technique lies on Arthur D. Little and goes to William J. Gordon and George M. Prince. So the focus is on arousing thought process that the subject, so if I may have a lot of thoughts in my mind, a lot of ideas in my mind, but it is hidden deep in my brain. So using this technique, those ideas are aroused or those ideas are stimulated. Next is storyboarding. Storyboarding has to do with developing a visual story to explain or explore. Storyboards can help creative people represent information they gained during research. So pictures, quotes from users and other pertinent information are fixed on corkboard or any other comparable surface to stand up for a scenario and to assist with comprehending the relationship between various ideas. So from prehistoric time, story is the best way to convey a message, and from a story you can draw many ideas. So even if you have many scattered ideas in your mind, the best way to collate everything together is to connect it and make it a comprehensible story. So that is what is done in a storyboarding. Role playing. In the role playing technique, each participant can take on a personality or a role different from his own. And as the technique is fun, it helps people reduce their inhibitions, can come up with unexpected ideas. For example, in a team, each person may be having a role. And in role playing, they have to take a role other than their own. And when I am putting a different hat, thinking from a different person's perspective, then the ideas that comes to my mind will be different. I will think in unconventional ways, and that is how you can get unexpected ideas. Attribute listing. Attribute listing is an analytical approach to recognize new forms of a system or product by identifying or recognizing areas of improvement. To figure out how to enhance a particular product, it is broken into parts. Physical features of each component are noted, and all functions of each features are explained and studied to see whether any change or recombination would change or improve the products. So the core of attribute listing lies in disintegration. When you think something as a whole, it is very difficult to analyze it. But when you reduce or break it down to analyzable parts, then it is more reachable, and you can it is more easy for you to analyze it. So you do it and see whether each part can be improved or not. So how you can change the combination and make it better. Visualization. Visualization is about thinking of challenges visually so as to better comprehend the issue. It is a process of incubation and illumination where the participant takes a break from the problem at hand and concentrates on something wholly different while in mind consciously continues to work on the idea. This grows into a phase of illumination where the participant suddenly gets a diversified solution and he rapidly writes them down, thereby creating fresh parallel lines of thought. So as you know, the most important sense organ is your eyes, and that is a very big source of good ideas. So if you can stimulate your vision, if you can stimulate your sense organ of eyes, then obviously it can pave way for a gateway of ideas. So that is done in visualization. The visual sense organs are stimulated. Morphological analysis. Morphological analysis has to do with recognizing the structural aspect of a problem and study the relationship among them. For example, imagine the problem in transporting an object from one place to another by way of a powered vehicle. The significant dimensions are the kind of vehicle. It can be a cart, sling, bed, chair. The power source, internal combustion engine, pressed air, electromotor, and the medium, air, hard surface, rail, roller, oil, water. Thus, a cart kind of vehicle moving over rough surfaces with an internal combustion engine to power, it is an automobile. The expectation is that it would be possible to determine some novel combinations. So, morphological analysis, you find out the morphology means structure. You disintegrate the structure and find out the key elements, and you check whether there are different combinations available in this key element, and for each combination you will get a different idea. For each combination you will come up with a different way of looking at the problem. That is about morphological analysis. Forced relationship. It is easy technique involving the joining of total different ideas to come up with a fresh idea. Though the solution may not be strictly unique, it frequently results in an assortment of combinations that are often useful. A lot of problems we see today are the output of forced relationships, such as digital watch that are also has calculators, musical birthday cards, and Swiss Army knife. So most of these ideas may not be revolutionary discoveries, but they are still advantageous products and usually have a prospective market in the society. So Robert Olson provided an example for forced analogy in his book, The Art of Creative Thinking. He compared different aspects of a corporate organization structure to the structure of a matchbox. So that is about forced relationship. You can bring together two products and you can force a relationship between those products. For example, previously you had a calculator, you had a watch, you had a computer, you had a calculator. But now you have one product, that is a mobile phone. So that is how you can use forced relationship and come up with innovative ideas. Daydreaming. Though mostly not met with approval, daydreaming is truly one of the most fundamental way to trigger great ideas. The word daydream itself involuntarily triggers an uninhibited and playful thought process, incorporating the participants' creativity and resourcefulness to play around with the present problem. It enables a person to establish an emotional connect with the problem, which is beneficial in terms of coming up with a wonderful idea. So, daydreaming is not a structured process for coming up with innovative ideas, but the most important aspect of it is when you daydream, you get emotionally attached to the problem, and that helps in your mind coming up with involuntary solutions. The focus of productive daydreaming is a particular goal, irrespective of whether it seems to be impractical task. Plenty of famous inventors has engaged in daydreaming in the past, thereby setting of goals that contribute to the life-altering inventions. The airplane is the most notable example of that. If the Wright brothers had not let their imagination run wild thinking about flight, we would have probably still be traveling by ferry. So many inventors, they have experienced this. They were daydreaming on a particular concept, and somehow immediately at the spur of the moment they got a wonderful idea. Archimedes, they came up with the principle of buoyance, and he said eureka. So all these points out to the power of daydreaming. Reverse thinking. As the term reverse thinking itself suggests, instead of adopting the logical normal manner of looking at a challenge, you reverse it and think about opposite ideas. For example, how can I double my fan base? Can be changed into how do I make sure I have no fans at all? So always think in the opposite way. When you think in the unconventional way, always you can come up with good ideas. You may notice that majority of the participants would find it easier to produce ideas for negative challenge simply because it is much more fun. However, don't spend too much time on the reverse idea generation. About 10 to 15 wrong ideas is fine. So the advantage is that when you think in an unconventional way, it is a lot of fun. Questioning assumptions. The majority of industries have an orthodoxic, unspoken but deeply held belief that everyone stands for getting things done. Sadly, they fail to realize that by questioning assumptions at every step of service or product development, they can actually enable the birth of fresh possible ideas. So whenever you assume something, then you are fixed. You restrict your thoughts and thinking to one particular stream. So challenging assumption is a way of thinking something different and entertain new ideas. Here is how Matthew Moore suggested one go about questioning assumptions. The participants should ask by setting on frame for the creative challenge. After this, they should produce 20 to 30 assumptions. The next step is to select several assumptions from the many generated and utilize